Señor, te damos gracias en esta hermosa tarde que nos permite, Señor. Te pedimos, Espíritu Santo, que nos ayude, darnos sabiduría, inteligencia, Señor, para poder entender y captar lo que tú quieres por medio de esta clase. Señor, bendice a cada uno, Señor, en el nombre de Jesús. Te damos gracias. Amén. So, last week we were talking about the Old Testament and how the manuscripts, right? And
Mhm.
and we saw like how they started and what kind of material they use. Basically, it's everything, like we're like the whole class is about that, right? And how important it is like for us to understand, right, that it's not only a simple book, it's actually something divine from God to
Mhm.
us, and to let us know what He has for us, right? And also we learn about how people took the time to do it, and maybe there were circumstances, and maybe there was a lot of things that they passed through, and and how God provide everything, and how God protect His word into now, right? And how people like did all this, the copy, copies and copies from the other copies, right, from the original, and how we can now have this, right? But so I believe we stay in, well, I don't have the chapter, but I mean it's the classifications of the Greek and manuscripts, right? So there was three, right? The Aramaic and Greek and Hebrew. And now I believe we're gonna read the types of text. I don't know if you can help me
Okay.
out to read, please.
Yes. Okay. Um, Types of text. The numerous manuscripts have been cataloged and placed what specialists call families of text. These families were formed in relation to an important center of ancient Christianity. Alexandria, Antioch, and Constant, Constantinople, Carthage, and Rome. The copies that were made from the first copies of some biblical writings that arrived in Rome reflect peculiar characteristics to that important center. And so it happens with the rest of the key places. That's how we have the following families of text. Alexandria text. It characterized our breviate and Austrinically. That is, Alexandria is generally shortened than other kinds of text and does not exhibit the degree of refined grammatical neatness that the Byzantine text type characterizes, and to a lesser degree the Cas Cassanian text type. The two main witnesses of the Alexandria text type are the Vatican Codex and the Sinaitic Codex. Number two, Western text. This type of text was common in Italy, Gaul, North Africa, and other parts, including Egypt. It can also be backdated to the second century, used by several of the fathers, such as Cyprian, Tertullian, Irenaeus, and Titian. Its presence in Egypt is demonstrated by two papyri, Papyrus 38 around 300 AD and Papyrus 48, nearly the end of the 3rd century. The most important Greek manuscript represents the Western text type are the Basic Codex from the 5th and 6th century, which contained the Gospels and Acts, the Chloromontanus Codex from the 6th century, which contains Pauline apostles, the the Washingtonian Codex from the end of the 4th century, which contains from Mark. The third is the Kashanian text, appears to have originated in Egypt. It is supported by the Chester Beatty Papyrus 45, which is perhaps brought by Oregon to Cassia, where it was used by Eusebius and others. From Caesarea, it was taken to Jerusalem, where it was used by Cyril and by Armenians, who in earlier times had a colony in Jerusalem. Armenians missionaries brought the Ca- um, Chasarians text type to Georgia, where it influenced the Georgian version as well as the Greek manuscripts of the 9th century. The Codex, it seems then that the Caesarians text types had a long and eventful career. According to the views of the most scholars, it is an Eastern text and is characterized by the mixture of Western and Alexandrian readings.
So basically, if you see here how it takes places to and then it passed through different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and these if you wanna see like in Google they have the meanings exactly for well actually well I don't know if have you got the books from
No,
the
I,
class.
I wasn't able to get the books, so I had to order them.
Okay, bueno, it's okay. Like it has the information there more for about this, the Assyrian text and the Western text and the Alexander text. You know, because those they were more how do you say like more clear for us now,
Okay.
and they pass it. Okay, the manuscripts or the codex, that's called codex. So
Mm-hmm.
the gospels and other acts they describe it better for us. Okay,
Okay.
so um let's continue to the other page.
Okay. Okay. The number four, Byzantine text. It is characterized by the appearing complete and very lucid. This type of text was taken to Constantinople, where it was widely disrupted throughout the Byzantine Empire. It best represents today is the Alexandrian Codex and the large number of minuscule lowercase letters manuscript written. Thus, during the period between the 6th century and the invention of the printing press in the 15th century, the Byzantine text type was recognized as the authoritative text. It was one of the largest circulation and the most accepted. This is the most reliable text of the New Testament that is known in the history of the Christianity. It has been called through history by 6 different names: Byzantine text, imperial text, traditional text, text of the Reformation, majority text, Textus Receptus, the most common name given to the text. The canon of the Bible. The word canon comes from the word Greek kanon, which means rod, cane, and by implication, an instrument of measurement, a rule or regulation. The term is applied to the list of regulation books. The biblical canon is a set of books that the church has recognized as inspired by God. Currently, there are 2 canons, but in fact, only one of them is the real one. The Vatican has created the term proto-canonical and Dorado Canonical to differentiate the separation of the books of the canon that the Hebrews accept. The term proto-canonical refers to the books in which both have in common the prefix proto is used to indicate superiority. On the other hand, the term Deuterocanonical refers to the 7 books that are not part of the Hebrew canon. The prefix Dueto means second or lower. It is also different given to the name of uh, apop- apocryphal books. The first to give this descriptive of apocryphal was the Catholic writer Jerome, author of the Latin Vulgate Bible. The apocryphal name is applied among Catholics to writings of the religious nature or even if they were not inspired, but they claim to have some divine origin or were considered scared or sacred, sorry. According
Okay.
to the, oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. And into now the Byzant 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 Byzantine, I think, text, the Orthodox uh church into now in this present, they are the ones they're using. Is the one that has um minimize the letters, like
Mhm.
they're kind of like, like we'll say in the alphabet, alphabet and the lowercase. I would say like it looks like a lowercase, okay. But that, into now they are using that, okay. So and it there's some churches, like for example, like when we read, or when you read the canon of the Bible, right? They still have it, right? And especially the Catholics, they have it there, okay. So some people, they use it, right? And remember, this is Greek. So like they had to translate it, and
Mhm.
it took a lot of time, especially when you see the words. Sometimes one word, it can mean a lot of things.
Mhm.
So I respect them for that, you know. Okay, so which one we stay right here, right, in the Old Testament, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, continue.
The Old Testament canon, the Jewish canon of the Holy Bible, we do not know when it was definitively closed. For some, it would be the time of Ezra and Nehemiah. Um, for others, in the time of the Maccabees, second century BC. The truth is that the Jews had in the first century of our era a collection of sacred books which they considered inspired by God. The literal documents that have had authority in the people of Israel were gradually multiplying. The book of the law by Moses was kept next to the ark of the covenant. Then Joshua, the successor of Moses, attached what he had written. On the other hand, the prophet Samuel, recording the rights of kingship in the books that he put before the Lord. King Hezekiah ordered the collection of Solomon's proverbs, but it is especially in the time of King Joshua when the authority of the written text begins to be resorted, whose nature has been sacred code, seems to have been officially recognized prior to Joshua's reign. It is not known that the Masoretic law enjoyed a universally recognized canonical authority. Canons of the Bible. The Greek canon or canon of Alexandria in the Greek version called Septuagint, or version of the LVV, books that were read in the synagogues of Alexandria were included the so-called Deuterocanonical books. Some books were not translated but written directly in Greek. Wisdom and the second book of the Maccabees. This canon has 15 more books than the Hebrew canon and is classified in one, legislation and history, two, poets and prophets. The Hebrew canon or canon of Palestine, a group of rabbis who were managed to escape the siege of Jerusalem in the year 70, founded a school in Jamnia around the year 90. They decided to collect and organize the books they considered inspired, a task that ended in the late first century of our era.
So basically, the canon of the Bibles, there are a lot of books, right? So remember, the Jewish Christians gospel, they had a check, okay, and review and every detail to see if it was allowed for the books to be, you know. For example, and they would dispute, or they were be agreed if it would be a good idea, or it was okay, they need to have the authorization.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the people they have to check, and it was good, to to and they took such a time, they just they didn't choose whatever. No, they had to take their time. They had to go and see if it matched what they were actually, um they have more, like I said, they have more canon books, so that's why. So
Mhm.
and also the Hebrew Bible, so it's a lot of things going. And let me say, okay, you stay here, right? And the
Yes.
yeah, and the Old Testament, remember, like I said, I mean, the Old Testament, the Hebrew Christian, like I said, the majority of the manuscript, they share the what they share is the same, the same common. They share the same information that
Mhm.
they try to put, like, the same books, they will match to the other one. Nothing that will be like for example, the other books, the what's the name, the apocalypticals, I think that's the name, or
Uh-huh.
crypto. Okay, those books, uh the reason they're not in the Bible is because they didn't, I'm gonna use this word, they didn't qualify, or they didn't match from the other books. That's the
Okay.
reason they say, you know what, we're gonna put these ones here. Doesn't mean they don't exist, and doesn't mean they're not real. No, they are real, but just that what why the ones they um put in the Bible, or they think they was qualified. Uh, so that's the ones they got, okay? But there are
Mhm.
many manuscripts, Brother Victor, a lot. There are many, but that's the reason why. And the people choose this, especially the Jewish Christian, and they choose this, and they took the time, to see, okay? But doesn't mean the other books that they have, they're not good. No, they're good. I mean, no,
Mhm.
but they had to pass that test, or they had to be qualified, in order to be like us now. Okay. Um. So where we stay end up
Right above the work of the translators.
for the um in the canons of the Bible, right?
No, we just did that one.
Okay.
We are in the on the next page where it says only those.
Ah,
Okay,
okay. The only. Okay.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
Only those that have been written in Hebrew were accepted. That is, only 39 books exceeding the Deuterocanonical ones. These books are called Proto-Canonical. The Hebrew Bible contains 24 books and are divided according to the following scheme. 1. Torah, the law, contains the 5 books of Moses. 2. Nevi'im, the prophets. They are divided into former prophets, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings. Later prophets is Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and the 12 minor prophets. 3. Ketuvim, the writings contains Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Songs of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, um, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nahum, and Chronicles. The 24 books of the Hebrew Bible are the same 39 of the Old Testament of Christians. The number originated when each of the minor prophets began to counted separately, and when the books of Samuel, Kings, Chronicles, Ezra, Nahum, and Nehemiah were separated into two. As we can see, the Hebrew Bible only accepts 39 books of the Old Testament as inspired by God and excludes the remaining seven and several fragments of the book of Daniel and Esther that Catholics accept. The work of the translators. Translating the Bible with its more than 1,189 chapters were not an easy task. In the past, it took a month or work to translate only one sheet. However, many men of God have gladly given themselves to translate the Bible into other languages, despite the fact that this puts them in danger and go through penalties and even losing their lives. One of the many problems that biblical translators had to face is that they encountered languages that not writing or any type of graphic representation, they had to learn the language, then invited uh, then invented a way to represent them graphically. Below, we will see some of the main characters from this fabulous story. Uh, you, you, Ulfilas, at the beginning of the 4th century AD, undertook the translation of the Bible into a contemporary language, but without writing. He solved the problem by inventing the Gothic alphabet uh, of 39 characters. Those bases were the Greek and Latin alphabet. This translation was completed around 381 AD. In the 9th century, two brothers who spoke Greek called Cyril, known as Constantinian and Methodist, decided to translate the Bible for the Slavic speaking people, and this language did not have writing either. So the two brothers invented an alphabet on which they elaborated the Bible and then had to teach their writing to all the Slavic speaking peoples. In England in 1382, John Wycliffe translated the New Testament from the Latin Vulgate into English. This writing influenced John Huss, dean and rector of the University of Prague, whom Catholicism persecuted mercilessly. He dies in the end, burned at a stake. In 1517, Martin Luther began the Great Reformation, and when Catholicism tried to persecute him, German princes supported him and protected them against papal efforts to end his life. When hiding in the Jerusalem prince's castle, he managed to translate the Bible from Greek to German. William Tyndale, born in England, became a very studious young man. Already in 16th century, he set out to translate the Bible from the original language in English. But as he encountered optim, op, oppositions from the Catholic Church, clergy, and the state, he had to flee to Germany. Being there, he printed the New Testament in English in 1526. Then he began to smudge them clandestinely in sandbags in England, which angered the authorities so much that they decided to burn the copies in public. Tyndale's New Testament diffusers were put in prison and burned at the stake. Later, Tyndale was betrayed by one of his collaborators, and before he was burned at the stake, he died strangled. Before he died, he proclaimed, "Lord, open the eyes of the King of England."
Okay, brother. So, and like, so in order for these people to translate, remember these two main dominations, or the people they were in charge. Remember, it was the on how do you pronounce it? The no, introduction, yeah. Oh no, Orthodox Church, and the other one that those the one that were they recognize, if this book, they say that these books, they were good, but they didn't have the level to be there. So when these people come and translate it, they had to use, and they had to check what to write on it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the they call it the Protestants, like the ones that, like, that's how they call us. I don't know, have you heard that word,
Mm-mm.
Protestants? Okay. So but basically is that that they're the ones who decided if these books, they had the level. Okay. um and they established this doctrine. Okay. And in order for them to translate it, like I said, it took them, um it says right there, the Onkelos, okay, beginning the 4th century, undertook the translation on the Bible by contemporary language. Okay. So not only they had to translate it, they had to use, and they had to trying to maintain, or not to, like how do what I say the word, not to manipulate the word as they want. It has to be actually exactly how it is. Okay.
Mm,
So yeah. And remember, in England, John Weiss Cliffy
mhm,
translated this to the New Testament Testament from the Latin Bulgari into the English. Okay, his writing influenced John Dutch. This, uh, so remember, these people, they were also from the, um. I don't know. Have you heard that our Bible comes from the Catholics? I don't know. Have you ever heard about that?
mm-mm,
A lot of people say, no, the Bible, yeah, because remember, the orthodoxians, they actually like Protestant, and they come from Martin Luther, and the reformers, and they're the one who were like, the people, the beginning, the one that they decide, okay, about those books. Okay, and they have to pass through that and see, like, by the way they were translating and everything, it was okay. So okay, let me see. Can we do the last one, the version of the Bible?
yes, yeah, okay.
Okay.
The word version comes from the verb verter, which means the translation from one language to another. A few centuries before Christ, the Jewish already had the complication of the Old Testament biblical text, which they called the writings. See chapter X, the canon of the Bible. From the scriptures, the first version or translation into the Greek language was made, which took place around the year 25 BC. This version of the Old Testament came to be called the Septuagint. Primitive versions. Number one, the Septuagint, as the first similarity of the Hebrew canon began to form, the Hebrew language begins to die and disappear completely by 135 BC. For this reason, Jesus and his contemporaries in Palestine spoke Arabic and dialect of Hebrew. By 605 BC, the people of Israel suffered a dispersion, or as it biblically known, a diaspora. King Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem and took a captive Israelites to Babylon, beginning the Babylon captivity. Second Kings 24:12 and Second King 25:1. But not all the Israelites were taken captive. A remnant remained in Jerusalem. Second King 25:12, Second King 25:22, Jeremiah 40:11, Ezekiel 33:27. Also, a number of Israelites were not sent captive to Babylon, but sent to Egypt. Second King 25:26, Jeremiah 42:14, and Jeremiah 43:7. King Cyrus of Persia conquered Babylon, Second Chronicles 36:20, Second Chronicles 36:23, and gave the Israelites the freedom to return to Israel, thus ending their slavery. Some returned to Palestine, Ezra 1:5, 7:28, and Nehemiah 2:11, but others went to Egypt, settling for the most part in the cities of Alexandria, founded by Alexander the Great in 322 BC, which was the most important library in the world at the time. In this great city, Greeks, Jewish, and Egyptians lived together. It is believed that these Jews who lived in the city, Alexandria, Egypt, were the ones who translated the Hebrew scripture into Greek. A legendary narrative known as the Letter of Aricia, written around 125 BC, tells that the king of Egypt, uh, Ptolemy, uh, Phila, Philadelphus, a great lover of letters, sent ambassadors to Jerusalem to request a translation of the scriptures from its famous private library in Alexandria. This delegation included 6 experts from which a tribe of Israel, in total 72, 12 times 6 equals 72. Rounding off, there would be 70. Hence the name of Septuagint, or version of 70s, abbreviated LXX equals 70 in Roman numerals. This translation comes to make the beginning of errors or a spoonful of Satan, because in it not only were the 39 books that made up Hebrew canon translated, but 15 more books were added that had not been written under divine inspiration. This edition was made gradually. Number 2, former Greek versions. A, the translation of Aquila, this Jewish proselyte wanted to oppose Christian doctrines within our translation. B, revisions of the Septuagint by Theodotin. C, Symmachus version. Number 3, the Targum. When the Israelites returned from Babylonian exile, they spoke the Arabic language. Ezra and his assistants read the law to the people in Hebrew and had to translate it. Nehemiah 8:8. At first, this interpretation was only oral. Finally, this translation was fixed in writing. This is the origin of the Targum. Number 4, Bastida version means simple. In the Syriac version, it is translated of the Old Testament directly from the original Hebrew. Number 5, Itala version. In Latin, it is translated that the Latins of Italy, approximately in the year 250 AD. It was translated directly from the original text of the Septuagint, where the apocryphal books were added. Number 6, the Latin Vulgate. Damasus, Bishop of Rome, entrusted Germon, the most prominent Catholic of this time, to prepare the official version of the Bible, and he went to Bethlehem, where he dedicated about 20 years of his life in dedication to the translation of the official Bible, which would be called the Latin Vulgate. That was published around 400 AD. Germon was not a participant in the inclusion of the apocryphal books, but the pressure exercised by those who were familiar with the Idel version ended up forcing him. On April 8, 1546, at the Council of Trent, the problem of apocryphal books was discussed, and it was agreed to exclude from the Vulgate 3 of the 10 books that had been added to it, which are 1, the first book of Ezra, the second book of Ezra, Prayer of Manasseh.
Okay. Well, let me okay, yeah, I thought you have it off. So basically those translations, but in the end we if you know, are many versions from the Bible, including the James King James version. Okay, that's the one the more common here, and that's the one that we actually use, right? Well, in English, right? But it would be in Spanish. It would be the Reina Valera or Valera. So that's the ones. But they had to translate it, okay, and address them, and and check them over in England when they form these translations. Um, they give it to us, okay, but I
Mhm.
mean, if you see like how many like how many versions they have,
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
it's a lot of them, and oh, I'm just thinking about it, and I actually get like amazed how people they could do all these, and if you see those the formers, the Greek version, the Targumim, the Peta, no, Pishet version. I think that's the way you pronounce it. Okay, and for the last one, the sixth, that is a Latin Vulgate. That's the one that was the official Bible, and they call it, and that's the one they did more publishment, okay,
Mhm.
around the 400 AD, okay.
Mhm.
uh let me see. So, I think we can read it, brother, and I believe then next week we just do the test.
Ah, okay. Um,
Okay.
that's fine. So then I finish up the last two pages.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, it's only were you already in the last one?
Yeah,
The
it's
second
just
to
in
the last.
that
Yeah.
section. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
finish it.
Okay.
Okay, sister. As we see throughout history of the 15 apocryphal books, that were initially added into the Greek version, five were excluded in the Latin Italia version, and then three more from the Latin Vulgate version. This shows us that those who added these books proceeded in an irresponsible manner, which allows us to think the same thing happened with the remaining several apocryphal books. There isn't a single element of value or weight in favor of the apocryphal books. As the Latin Vulgate, the Catholics, which was a Christian religion that fell into paganism, made the
Yes.
translation of the Bible forbidden. For centuries, they hid the Bible from the common language of the peoples. It was provided at the Council of Toulouse, 1229, that the lately were not in read of the Bible in the common language. All those who protested or rose up against this was a dead man. Contemporary versions from the year 400 BC and onward, I will mention some important Bibles and then we will discuss how some of them more thoroughly. One, one Alphonsin Bible was the first Bible translated in Spanish in 1280. It was translated from the Latin Vulgate under the sponsorship of Alfonso X, the wise king of Castile and Aragon. Two, Alba Bible, the Bible of Duke of Alba, was translated in Spanish in 1430. The Old Testament was translated directly from Hebrew and Aramaic by the Jewish rabbi named Moses Argel. Three, Gutenberg Latin Bible. This is called the Bible of the 42 lines. It was printed in 1456 and is the first Bible it was to be printed. Four, Greek text or Erasmo de Rotterdam, Textus Receptus of Erasmus. Five, Complutensian Polyglot Version. Six, first Spanish translation by Francisco de Encinas. Seven, Ferrara Bible. The Old Testament was translated from Hebrew to Spanish in 1553 by the Jewish Abraham ben Solomon Uske and Yom Tob ben Levi Athias. Eight, Juan Perez de Pineda Bible. The New Testament of Juan Perez Pineda appeared in 1556. It is a revision of the New Testament assisted by the translation made by Encias 51. Nine, Biblica del Oso, the Bear Bible. In 1569, Cazadora de Reina translated from the original languages the version that still circulates after many revisions. It is the first completed Bible in Spanish. 10. Revision of Casidoro Goro de Reina's work. See commentary. The Bible de also was revised by Cipriano de Valera in 1602 and other revisions in 1850, 1862, 1865, 1874, 1890, 1909, and the last revision made to the Bible Societies in 1960. Valera dedicated 20 years of his life to the task of comparing the work of Casadora with the Hebrew and Greek texts. He also eliminated the marginal notes of Casidora's work and grouped all the apocryphal books. And number 11, King Jonas Bible, King James, translated in English in 1611. 47 scholars participated in this work, all of them belonging to the Church of England and to the Palestine Party. It was revised in 1613, 1629, 1638, 1683, and 1769, and continued to print it in large quantities. Number 12, Felipe Scayo Bibles translated in Spanish in 1793. Number 13, Torres Amat Bible translated in Spanish in 1825. 14, Modern Version by H.B. Pratt translated in Spanish in 1893. 15, Nakar Kalunga Bible, Catholic Bible translated in Spanish in 1944. Number 16 is Stratenberger Bible, Catholic Bible translated in Spanish in 1944. 17, Bulwer Cantera Bible, translated in Spanish 1947. 18, Herder Bible, Catholic Bible translated in Spanish 1964. 19, Jerusalem Bible translated in 1966. In its inception, it appeared in parts. This translation included modern notes. 20, Latin American Bible. 21, Bíblica de las Américas, was translated in 1973 from the New American Standard English Version, but carefully cross-checked its original Greek. 22, New Spanish Bible, Catholic Bible, translated in Spanish 1975 by Juan Mateos and Alonso Scocco. Number 23, God Speaks Today, popular version. 24 is the Reina Valera, updated. And 25 is the New International Version. The New International Version, NIV, published by Editorial Vida in 1999, is identical to the God Speaking Today version. Comments of certain Bibles, the Latin American Bible in 1972 is also called the Bible from the Latin American, was published, translated by a South American Catholic priest who sympathized with Karl Marx and tried to get the Bible to help Marxist movement.
Okay. And I believe the only one we know is more the one, the 24 and the 25, right? That's the
Yeah,
one that we
those are the only ones I've heard of.
okay. But like I said, the other books, they according to the Orthodox Church, some of them they were didn't they were divine. That's the reason why they don't appear here. Okay. So there's some Catholic churches that accept it, and that's the reason they translate it,
Okay.
um and especially the east churches, but also they're known the under they call it Orthodox churches. Okay.
Okay.
So the Protestants, the they kind of reject some of these books because what they say, they believe it doesn't match, so that's why some of the Protestants, they don't think they're okay, for the people to read it, but doesn't mean they don't exist. They exist, they're there. Okay. And some of them, like I said, they've been translated, and if you see the Bible there, the Bibles they did, and who they translated, and what time they did it, and what's the reason, and each person that they translated, they took the time because it depends what people they had around, so
Mhm.
especially when you see the names of these people, you notice that they wanna reach for more people, and teach them.
Mhm.
Okay. So any version that they translate, I believe everything is for good, and it make it an impact to any person who read and listen to the Bible. Okay. So most of them, like I said, the apocryphal books. Okay. Most of them, like I said, the pistols of the Gospels and all the other books, like the events and the mystical language they describe, uh, um they had to translate it. Okay. So so that's what we I hope you like, if you can check it out in case you want to know more about those Bibles. For
Mhm.
the like I said, I mean, the one we always read, it's the Reina Valera and the New International Version,
Mhm.
right? But I mean, there's more Bibles and more Bible translations, okay,
Yes.
brother, and everything. I think it's for a reason, and if people took the time and to people to teach the gospels of the word of God, it was because they knew it, and until now, thank God, we these people prepare, these people work so hard and do this, you know for us to have the Bible in our hands. Okay, now we have it there. We just need to read it. We just need to study. We just need to take everything, that every advice that it has there for us to be better, and not only for us to be better, but for us to teach someone else the grace and the salvation that God provide for us. Okay, and like I said, it's not only one book. It's the Bible has many books in there, like a dictionary, and it has like people like us back then. They suffer. People back like us, they had to try their best. People like us, they failed. People like us, they were in different circumstances. So and what the Bible teaches, or the Bible's letting us know, is from everything God has a purpose, and what God brought to us, or this salvation, like he had to pay the price. He had to do this. He had to do, um in order for us to enjoy, the grace, enjoy the salvation, enjoy what God has for us. Okay, so I don't know if you have any question.
No, sister. I think I'm good. I think it helped that
Okay.
I read it, so it kind of helps me understand it a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah. That's why yeah. That's why I was like, you know what? Because I know when you read it, your mind is in. Even though, like, sometimes we only did it one time, but I mean, if you read it again, you're gonna know more, and you're gonna, hey, this is oh, what about this?
Uh-huh.
So yeah. So like I said, I mean, oh, like I told you, like last week, right? If I don't know how the brother gonna do the test, but I mean, like you said, right? Maybe it's a like a samurai. So
Hmm.
prepare it, and read it, and if you have any questions, you let me know, and next week we continue, like, we do another review, and I think, I'm not sure if they do the test before the the break or after.
Oh, okay. Sounds good, sister. I'll work on it right now. And I'll review as I'm reading through it again to type up my summary just to have it ready for next week. Just in case if that's what he wants, I have it ready.
Okay, brother. Okay. And you told me, right, you're working right now, so I know that you're working right now, right? You have,
Yes. Yes, I'm
yeah,
doing it
okay.
through online through
So
the internet.
yeah, I'm gonna tell the brother Jacinto that, okay.
Okay.
So okay, well, I think we continue then next week.
Okay, sister. Sounds good then. I will probably, I guess I'll just log on back on the Zoom, I guess after dinner for chapel, or I don't know if there's gonna be chapel or
Yes,
not.
this I believe uh no, honestly, no, 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 I don't know, because remember, I mean, I don't know about the other people, the
Right.
one there, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe they do.
Okay. If anything, I'll
So
log back on just in case and I'll wait.
okay, okay, brother.
Sounds good.
Bueno, pues hopefully, God willing, to we'll see you next week.
Yes, yes. See you,
Okay,
sister.
okay, brother.
Okay. Bye-bye.